What's up, YouTube? Fantoid here to give a review of RE0 episode 17. So how can you compete with Rem? You know, her character is just continues to show how awesome of a character she is. This episode continues off of them running from the big whale, which is called the White Whale, I believe. I mentioned it in the last episode when they had mentioned it in this episode. My bad. That's kind of a bad thing when you marathon it and you try to make separate videos of it. Sorry. So it's called the White Whale, and it keeps chasing them, and it's mainly after Subaru and Rem's carriage. And when the writer mentions it, oh, why is he only after us? There are other characters that are spread out throughout this land. You know, he's only chasing after us, this monster. And I'm like, okay, it's after Subaru, obviously. Him being the main character, that's the one that the whale's after. And Rem, showing how awesome she is, goes ahead and hugs Subaru and tells her, oh, I'll try and distract him while you go away. He's like, no, don't do that. You don't have to do that. She goes and she jumps after the whale, and I'm pretty sure the whale probably killed her. At least, that's one of the options. Either that or it killed her, or it hit her, or it swallowed her or knocked her out. Who knows what really happened when Rem went to go and attack the whale. Because when she went to go jump into the darkness to try and intercept the whale, it took like a couple of seconds before the same thing that happened in the previous episode, where she's completely forgotten. Like, only Subaru remembers her, but the writer does like, oh, who's Rem? Because the guy was just like thanking her for her sacrifice and was telling Subaru, oh, don't waste her sacrifice. And Subaru was out for a little bit, and the guy still remembered who Rem was. So it obviously took a little bit of time before she was completely forgotten. Whereas in the previous episode, the guy, his rider was forgotten immediately. So either two things happened where the whale did some kind of power and he hit her or something, or swallowed her, or or Rem was actually putting up a pretty darn good fight for a little bit, and then she was forgotten. Then she was killed. So at least that's what with this power seems like. The whale gets you, and then you're forgotten with that crazy mist stuff. It's very interesting stuff with this whale. And then, then we learn is that as Subaru looks a little closer, because he starts to realize, oh, why is this guy chasing after her so bad? So he looks and you see a horn on the whale, and you see like its eyes are glowing red, and he's like, oh, damn, it's a mob beast. You know, it's after me. Which apparently they're drawn to the witch's scent. I'm like, damn it. Fuck, I can't believe Ren sacrificed herself for me. Oh, she's always doing everything. And the carrot, she's a complete coward. Well, you can't really blame the carrot. I wonder how I would act in that situation. See, that's one of the things about this RE0 is that it humanizes the characters. It makes you think that these characters are real and believable, like instead of every character always being selfless and helpful. You know, there are a lot of cowards, not cowards, a lot of people in this world who would probably do the same thing that carriage guy did, where he pushed Subaru off. It's like, I want to live, you must die so I can live. Ah! He's cried, and I'm like, damn it, that hurt for a second. So like he goes off, and Subaru's like, shit, and Subaru's the same way. He's like, I don't want to die, and he's all crying. Now when he says that, he's running all hysterical. It's either two things. One is because he's prideful and he cares about his life and he doesn't want to die, which is a sin, or it's because even though he knows he can die and revert things, he's done it so many times that it's taken a wear and tear on his body. He's like, shit, I don't want to go through this all over again. No, please. So one or two things. Either it's because he's prideful and he cares about his life, or his body's just so tired and worn out from dying all over and again. It's painful and it hurts. You know, it's not like, oh, quick and he's gone. And we all know that the death for him in the show has been pretty painful. But here's the thing. Then all of a sudden he shows up, and then there's no fog or mist. The whale pretty much just goes away. Well, first you see a shot of the whale, and he's like, wow. He has like this evil look. I'm like, I never thought a whale can have an evil smile. The way that they angled it, the way it looked like he had like an evil look, and you see his eyes red and the horn. And I'm like, holy crap, that is one creepy whale, man. I love the design of it all, man. It seems pretty damn cool. So he's running off, and then all of a sudden the whale disappears. I'm like, out of nowhere, like, what the heck? What happened? You know, I kind of thought that might happen, but I was thinking he would swallow him or something like that. Whatever. Then Subaru wakes up. He finds the carriage, the same carriage that held the guy in who ran off. I don't remember his name. He wasn't important. And you see there are swords from the cultists and their blood, so it's obvious that they got to him. He's like, oh, I see. they got to him. The cultists got to kill this guy, which then he goes off, he drives, and then he like passes out. The children find him, which I think is like a relief for him, because the last time he saw the children, they were all dead. So he sees them, he's like, oh man, thank God these kids aren't dead. I see them alive. You know, that's my last vision of them, is them being alive. He passes out. Emilia heals him, because they take him back into the mansion, and he wakes up, and I was like, I got freaking cockteased. I was like, yeah, it's Rem. You know, it was Ram, her sister, and he thought it was Rem, and he's like, oh man, he's all sad. And then we find out Ram completely forgets who Rem is. And it's like, what are you talking about? There never was a Rem. You know, there's all the incidents you talked about, that was me and Rosal Sama. And I'm like, what the heck? And he tries to show her Ram's room, and it's like completely empty. I'm like, what the hell? Like this, it gets like really detailed. It seems like when you get killed by this monster, like your life is completely like disappears or something. Like you never existed. But it's like looks like that pretty damn fast as soon as the process gets going. And I'm like, what the hell? So, and then here's the part where it gets like really a lot more interesting than before, was that he starts like going crazy again. You know, this guy's been going mad a lot these past couple episodes. Almost all this whole series, actually. And he wants to tell Emilia what's going on, even if he dies. He doesn't care anymore. He tells her, oh, I can do things over again by death. And he gets cut off, and you see the hands showing up again. And instead of like strangling him, he just like massages his heart. And the hands, they just massage the heart. And I'm like, what the hell? And the next thing you know, Emilia is dead. I'm like, what? What's going on? What is going on? The next thing, he carries her body. You see Beatrice coming in, and then she's like, oh, you look like a person who's like in the worst situation ever, and yada yada. She's like telling him, she's like, I want to protect this mansion. I'm sending you out. And he's like, I'm not like, she says something, she says, I'm not like Rosal Sama, even if it secures the future for me. I'm tired of all this pain and suffering. And so when she mentions Rosal Sama, I'm like, man, I wonder if he has something to do with this, or if he's like somehow in it with the witch or something. There's something with Rosal Sama that he's doing from behind the doors, because this guy's always been fishy, in my opinion, this whole time. He always has this smirk, but when Beatrice says, I'm not like that man, it just makes you wonder, like, why are you saying you're not like that man? Is he doing something evil or bad behind closed doors? But here's the thing with Beatrice, is that you kind of have to suspect her, because when she pushes him out, he ends up right in front of the cults in the world. She sends her outside through a dimension. Beatrice sends Subaru and Emilia outside, and it basically delivers them to the cultists and Belcherus. I'm trying to pronounce his names right. And he's like, oh, look at this. You brought her right to us. Or you brought the half devil girl right straight to us. How diligent of you. So I wonder, since Beatrice said that she wanted to protect the mansion, did she know that Emilia was wanted by these cultists, that they wanted to kill her? Because we don't know much about Beatrice's past in detail. She says she's tired of all the suffering and killing, but then like as she sees Subaru getting pushed out, she's like, oh, at least die somewhere where I can't see you. So it's obvious that she cares for Subaru. And this stuff's really interesting, because like I'm like, what the heck? And it's just like the world building and the pacing and what's the word for it? The key points, or the way that the foreshadowing is, the way that the writing and the anime, how it drops points, you're like, you have to pay attention. It's not like it's gonna show flashback or shove things in your face. It like you have to really look close to the dialect of this show, the dialogue of this show. Sorry, and you really have to pay attention, because those are so like resourceful. They put so many plot points little by little. It's like little droplets of the plot that get spread out, and you have to pay attention. So I'm kind of like right now we're wary of Beatrice, because she seems to know that Emilia was wanted by the cultists, and I wonder if she kind of like delivered them to her, because the way she did it, like that was just too coincidental that they ended up right there when she shoved them through the dimension. And then Belcherus is this guy, man. I love his character, man. He's like, oh, you delivered her right to us. You're so diligent. And I'm like, what the heck? This guy's just a walking cartoon, man. And it's funny, like he keeps calling Subaru a believer in love, a believer of love. So like, it's like, are you saying like in love, or like is love a character? Because there's like so many things with this conversation here. He's like, even when this woman was faced with an obstacle, and then let alone one of the sins, she is killed right there. So it's pretty obvious, like, she's like, oh, she's faced up one of the sins and she dies right there. So Subaru is definitely a sin. We all know that. I keep repeating myself, sorry. And then he tries to grab her with the hands that look like what Subaru, the power that Subaru has, and they're all like coming out to try and grabbing him. And I'm like, oh shit, so we know now how he killed Rem. It's with those hands. You're not supposed to see those hands, because Subaru immediately sees those hands and he pulls them away. But I'm wondering, why didn't he see him in the previous couple episodes? That's just a question that I have. I'm like, I keep wondering. And then, so he keeps her away. He's like, this guy's all freaking out. He's like, oh, but you're not supposed to see my hands. No, what's going on? The power that love bestowed upon me. I'm like, that's why I keep thinking, is love a character? Like, is there another character out there named Love that isn't a sin or something else? Like, he's mentioned love twice in the last couple minutes of that episode. A believer in love, and then the power that love bestowed upon me. I'm really interested in all these characters that are being mentioned and thrown out there, the way that they foreshadow them. And you think like, oh shit, he's screwed. He's about to grab Emilia and like tore her to pieces. Then Puck shows up and she's like, what the fuck are you guys doing to my daughter? You guys about to die. And she's she's tiny and she's like throwing the icicles at her. And then it cuts off right there, man. Such a great episode. The pacing was good. I can't think of anything to complain about, man. It's like, I feel bad because like, we're going through the process of Zero, where RE0 is getting like hyped up to the max, but I think the hype is really well deserving because it's a pretty awesome show. And then you have the other side of the people. You know what happens when a show gets hyped up like crazy? You get haters. It's annoying, but I'm like, fuck it. I'm enjoying the hell out of this. I'm gonna give this one. It's not a Fantoid rating. I'll give it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. When I give Fantoid ratings, episode 15 is a good example. That's a Fantoid rating, but another great episode. This show is keeping me on my toes. I'm gonna do episode 18 right now.